Hello, Crafty Friends. This is Jen, and thank you for joining me today. It's Karen Burniston's new June 2025 release, and we have 10 new dies and 5 new stamp sets. And today, I'm going to show you my blog hop card. For this card, I used the new Whirly Wheel, which is this really fun die, and it makes a wheel that you turn, and the arm will move around and make the things look like they're whirling around. So I did already pre-cut some of my stuff before we started, and I'm just showing the dies that come with the set. There's the arm, and that's the wheel, and then there is a frame set too, so if you wanted to make a picture that would float around, you could do that as well. And I'm also going to be using the new movie charms, which is this amazing set that has a movie reel and different little movie charms, like a popcorn box and directors, when they say cut, I don't know what that's called, and I apologize. So let's get started. I already made an A2 size card base, and I used a lightweight black cardstock, and it's just a lightweight cardstock from Michaels. I die cut the wheel and that smaller circle that you see on the top of the screen from a heavyweight cardstock, as well as the arm. And I used heavyweight cardstock for that because I find that it is a little bit more stable, but you can use lightweight cardstock. There is also a stamp set that allows you to stamp the arrows on, and that stamp set also comes with some great little sentiments that also can go up the arm, so they would appear as the arm comes up. But today I decided just to use my white jelly pen and make the arrows myself. So the first step is to fold down the 2 little tabs on the center of the Whirly Wheel. And then I'm going to pop on the smaller circle. And this is kind of like the bolt that makes the wheel turn. And so now I'm going to take my arm and I'm going to bend down. You can see there's little die cuts in the arm, and you just bend the 2 pieces down and then pop that through and then flatten it out so it stays secure. And that's literally it. There's 2 ways that you can make the arm stay in a smaller area, which is what it needs in order to work. And that is cut a slot like you see in my red pattern paper to the left. Or you can make a little sleeve, and there's a little die that comes with it to make a little rectangular sleeve that you can glue to the card, and then the arm goes through the sleeve, and then you can use it that way to hold the card in place. And that would be good if you were going to use the rounded hills, or if it was going to be behind something and you didn't want to put the slot into your card base. So this only requires 4 little areas to be glued down, and you can use foam squares, but I decided not to use foam squares for this. I'm going to put my arm through my little slot, and then I'm just going to push down on those corners to keep my card front in place. And then you can see the arm is through the little slot, and now the slot prevents it from going any further. It keeps it in that one spot. So this card I'm making is going to be a birthday card for my son, who in August will be turning 10. So I thought, you know what, I'll get ahead of it and make a birthday card for him. And I was able to find on PicMonkey, which is a photo editing app online, it's like a collage. They have different collages that you can use. And I found a collage, and those pictures were like the exact size of this film reel. So if you have PicMonkey, it's a good app to use to make the pictures that would fit this film reel. So I'm just going to glue those in. And I just die cut the film reel from heavyweight black cardstock. Now the pattern paper I'm using is from Simple Stories, and it's called Say Cheese Tinseltown. And as always, all the supplies that I'm using for this card will be in the comments below. So I'm just going to finish gluing those pictures on. And there we go. So for this one, I decided to use these star dies I got from Michael's. And it's just a Recollections die set. And I die cut the number 10 using Karen Burniston's numbers dies. And I'm just going to glue that onto the biggest star that I cut out. And I'll let that dry. And my 0 came off. I had to glue that again. While I'm waiting, I just want to say, I'm sorry it's been so long since I've posted a video. I got a new camera, and I've been waiting for a arm to hold my camera in a way that I can actually make videos. And finally, I just gave up waiting. I'm still waiting for the piece, but I, in the meantime, went back to using my phone. So that's what I'm going to do until I get the part I need for my camera. So we're back to it. Thank you for still seeing my videos and still subscribing. I really appreciate it. So I'm just going to figure out where I want to put these stars. And I did have to trim the arm a little bit to fit that star. But that's the nice part about this die is that you can make the arm a little smaller if you wanted. It will still work. So I'm just going to glue my little glitter stars on. And I'm using LINECO neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle. And again, that will be listed in my list of supplies. And I'm just giving it a little press, and then I'm just making sure that the mechanism works. And there you can see, it's so fun. Like, you can't stop turning the little wheel. It's so much fun to use. So along with that, the new sets comes the stamp set for the movie charms, and it's called Movie Night. And I just stamped this onto some white cardstock, and then I'm just going to add that to the bottom of my card. And then I thought, you know what, it needs a little happy birthday. There's that empty space. So I dug out the birthday and belated stamp set, and I'm going to use that to create a happy birthday sentiment as well to go in the front. So I just pulled out my Misty, and I pulled out the birthday and belated stamp set, and I'm just using the smaller happy birthday. And I'm going to use Pink Fresh Studios Detail Black ink. Oh, this ink is so good. It makes it comes out just really dark. Sometimes doesn't even need to be stamped twice. So I really recommend the Detail Black ink. And I'm just making the little ends fancy with my craft scissors. And then I'm going to glue those on. And then the front of our card is done. Now this new release is available today. This video is posted on Blog Hop Day, which is Monday. And so if you would like to visit my blog, it's linked below. And if you leave a comment with your name and email address or a way to contact you, then you can be entered to win a $25 gift card online to Karen Burniston's store. So be sure to visit the design team's blogs, and you can also get to everybody's blog from Karen Burniston's website and join the blog hop. Okay, so now we're going to work on the inside of my card, and for this I'm going to make a popcorn box. So to start, I thought I would use the flower pot add-ons and make like a little place to hold the popcorn box instead of die cutting the tabs into my card. Now I should have moved them up further. I should have moved that up a little further because my popcorn box does stick out the end of my card, which I didn't do on purpose, but that's just the way it was. So I have die cut this from 80-pound smooth white cardstock. And I'm just using my bone folder to get some good crisp folds on this. And this is the flower pot pop-up. And the popcorn box is like an add-on for the flower pot. So I'm just, again, folding these edges, giving them a good crisp fold. All right, and now we can start gluing this together. So I just glue the two pieces together using the one set of tabs. And I like to fold it over, make sure it's even. And now I'm going to add all of my popcorn box pieces. So this is the popcorn die set. And I needed to add some glue to my fine tip bottle. So I'm just going to glue all these little pieces and then add them onto the base of the flower pot. And I've just sped this up because it's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. I did use Fawn tomato cardstock. It's a really vibrant red. It's a really nice red colored cardstock. And this makes such a cute little popcorn box. Kind of reminds me of like the old Cracker Jack boxes. Now it does come with a piece at the top. So I'm just taking a minute to pop out all of the little center pieces and then clean up my mess of red. And I'm also going to make little labels on two sides of my popcorn box. So one's going to be a heart and one is going to say the word popcorn. And these also come with the popcorn die set. So I'm just going to glue these on. And then we'll add them to the box. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over to add the pieces that go onto the top of the box. And eventually what I will do is use foam tape to hold those down. But for the time being, I'm just adding them on until I get my box all put together. Now this is a really cool die set, but it does get bulky. So you want to make sure that you use a lightweight cardstock for this one. Now these are the smiley face pieces that make up the grid that goes onto the inside of the flower pot pop-up. So I'm just putting those together and you want them all smiley faces facing forward. And then once again, I do this all the time. I've started to put glue on and then realized I didn't do my tabs. So I'm just folding my tabs in backwards and forwards. Just to make sure that they bend properly, and then I'll do the other side and then I can glue that into my flower pot. And I like to glue this into the flat position. So just as it is. And then you will see that once it gets into the card, it's so easy to put in. It looks complicated, but it's not. So I'm just going to line up the center of the smiley face grid to the center of the pop-up or the flower pot. And then I'm just going to make sure that those two ends, the two tabs, are flush in line with the top of the flower pot. If that makes sense. I'm sorry if it doesn't. And now I'm just going to hold that all in place. I've glued that all, and now I'm going to bend it backwards and side to side just to make sure that it's moving very well. Now I'm going to add my foam squares and then just push those down. And then you can see the popcorn box starting to take shape. It's so cute. I love this popcorn box. Okay, so we've got our box ready. And just doing another test to make sure that it's going to move comfortably. And now I can glue it into my card. So I'm adding adhesive to the little tabs on the outside. And then I'm just going to use my tweezers to push that down on the inside. But this gave me a hard time. Must have been one of those days. So, yep, popped off. So I used my bone folder to get in there. Just trying to push that in place. And I thought I had it. And then that's when I realized my card's, yep, and then it popped off again. It's just giving me a hard time. So we're going to try again. So this time I'm going to just stick my fingers in there and hold it. But this is where I'm like, oh, it's sticking out the bottom. But you know what? It's such a cool card. Whatever. So it sticks out the bottom a little. And the mechanism still works. Everything looks good. So now I'm going to figure out where I want to put my next film strip. And I decided I was going to add a white background to it because I wanted those, the edges of the film strip to really pop. So I'm going to just glue this onto a piece of just scrap white cardstock that I had. And then I'll add my pictures to it once I trim away the excess. This is where the fine tip bottle comes in really handy because of these little areas. So just give that a good press, and then I'm just going to trim away the piece I don't need. And then I can glue that into my card. So I'm just making sure that that's straight and then giving that a good press. And now I can add some more pictures. And you don't have to add pictures to the film strip. You could use the paper people and add them to the film strip to make it, you know, like a certain type of film. Or you could use maybe pictures from the internet, stuff like that. So now I'm going to make my popcorn from my popcorn box. And the colored one that I had there was one that I already had made. And what I did was I die cut 3 sections of popcorn, but I used the double-sided adhesive squares on the back. And then I die cut lightweight popcorn pieces from just lightweight cardstock, and then I press them together like a sandwich, and I just find that easier than having to glue everything. It does make it a little thicker, but I just found that it was quick and easy. You just put the 2 pieces together, and then it has really good grip on the box. So this is also where I decided that I wanted to add edges, and I had to try and figure out how to cut out with my scissors the little rounded areas so that I could still use the wheel. This is something I probably should have thought of before, but it was a last minute idea. So I just used my pencil to show me where to trim. And then I trimmed that out with my craft scissors. But I thought that patterned paper just added a little extra something to the card that it needed. And I had to trim this down again. It still wasn't small enough. And now I can glue that in. Give that a good press. And just test that mechanism. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up, but to color the popcorn, I used Y17 to start, and that's kind of the darker color around the popcorn. And I'm just kind of making little shadow lines all around each piece of popcorn. Now the pile of popcorn that you see in the top right corner, I just left it blank. I didn't color that in. That's kind of like the backing for each of my stickers. Then I went in with Y15. And I was going to go in with Buttercup Yellow. But as soon as I did it, I was like, nah, it doesn't look good. So for some of the popcorn, I left it as is. And for other popcorn, I took my colorless blender and just kind of blended it out. And I probably would have done it to all my popcorn, but my colorless blender was starting to wear out. But this is where I was like, yeah, it doesn't look good. Let's just use the colorless blender, kind of fade it out a little bit on some of them. And now we can start adding the popcorn. So to start, I just kind of matched up the popcorn kernels. Put the sticky one on and put the backing on. And of course it got stuck to the inside of my card, and then my box popped off. It's like, oh, I was just not having a good day. But I finally got it. I'm sure we've all had days like that. And then I just put the backing on. So it just sandwiches that in, and it gives it, make sure that it's not going to pop off. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I have all my area filled with popcorn. So I'm just going to speed this up. Okay, so we have all our popcorn attached, and I'm just going to take what's left over and just add it to the bottom of my card. Like some of it's fallen out of the box. And I'll just clean up what's left. And now we're going to add another sentiment from the movie night stamp set. And this one says, Lights, Camera, Celebrate. And I added it to another star die cut. And then I was like, I think it needs a little something else. So we're going to use the movie charms to create a film reel and the board as well. And the cool thing with the action board is you can write on it. So you could write a little saying or a sentiment or something like that. So I'm just going to color these in with some Copic markers. I'm using 100 black. And all these markers are listed in the all in my supplies in the comments or in the description box. And I'm just going in with N6. And then I'm going to blend that all together with N4. Now for the film itself, I'm going to use warm grays. So I'm going to go in with W5. And then W3. And then W1. And then I'm just going to glue around the center circle and then add that to my film. And now we're going to make the action board. I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. So if you know what it's called, let me know. I'm just going to trim the charm loop off because I'm not going to dangle it. And then I'm going to go in with black. And then I used N4 there. And I'm just going to glue that to the top. But before I do, I'm going to use the die cut as a stencil and a fine tip black pen and just fill in that area. And then I'm going to carefully go over it with my black Copic marker. Okay, now I'm going to glue on the top part. And then I'm going to write a little message on it. And I got thinking about it afterwards. I could have put his actual birth date down at the bottom there. And I might still fill that in. But I just wrote happy 10th birthday. And now I'm just going to glue those into my card. And then my card is done. So be sure to check out KarenBurniston.com and go to the design team or the blog page and be sure to join in with our blog hop. You can put your name on every design team member's comments for a chance to win. And here's our finished card. Thank you. Have a great day and happy crafting.